Call public work to order. First item. So we don't have any guests. Anybody on the Zoom?
Myself and Valerie.
Okay. Roll call, please.
That would be me. Hushane,
Here.
Barb,
Here.
Tom,
Here.
and Roy.
Here.
And Luis is absent today.
Okay. No public comment. Item 4, approval of 8/8/22 Public Work Utility Committee meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll make a second, and there was just one typo in there, or I don't know if it matters that much.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
You're right.
Then it would be on item 7. The last sentence. And it said Mumford does not think should the private owned land due to liability exposure. It should be something like Mumford does not think the path should be placed on private owned land due to liability exposure.
Okay.
Other than that, I'll second,
Subject to the change.
subject to the change. That's acceptable.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Acknowledge work product transmittal. Item referred by the committee to the village board. None.
Nothing.
Educational presentation and report none. Resolution none. And ordinance none. Item 5, the staff report.
Yep.
CIP update. Michael?
Alright, just try to touch on just the highlights here. I guess we had submitted 3 grants. We talked about that for the SDP urban funding. The MPO meeting was the day after our last meeting. And at that meeting, the joint project, the city of Schofield for Ross Ave from Metro Drive to Alderson Street was selected as the top project. The funding will be slightly more than 70-30. I forget what it is. I think it's like 74, 28, 26. So there's a little funding left over after they did 70-30 for 3 projects. So that then got split. So we'll get slightly more than 70% federal funding on that project. And I guess the Birch Street project.
Did you figure out our share? How much is that? 30% is?
Yeah, not off the top of my head. I can get you that number.
Okay, it's not 50-50, right?
No, it's a 70-30. Or,
No, I mean our share of 30%.
oh, yeah, it is 50-50, yeah.
Is it? It is.
Yeah, with
50-50.
Schofield, yep.
Okay,
Because each intersection is 3/4 in one municipality.
okay.
And then the main line road is split right down the middle, so,
Okay.
yeah. And I guess that's the next step is we need to get a agreement together with the city of Schofield then for how we will be allocating those costs and looking at selecting a design engineer on the project.
Well, it should be advertised, everything. else.
Yeah, we'll have to go through that.
According to DOT and federal.
Yep. Yeah, so we have to wait for the state municipal agreement to get signed and then sent to us, and then we can begin that process.
Okay.
I guess Birch Street paving, the binder should happen this week, with then surface course next week. Pretty much ditch restoration, everything else is done. So it's really just getting pavement down, and then that project should be pretty close to being finished. We've got I guess the Weston Avenue stuff we'll be talking about later. The Ross Ave and County Road X, the county does have an RFP out for design services currently. Those are due next week. So I guess we'll be going through the evaluation then of people who submitted RFPs.
Is that for that roundabout?
It's for the County Road X, Ross Avenue intersection, and then it also will include County Road X from about Sternberg Avenue north towards Eau Claire Ave. So it might not be the entire length of roadway, but the transition from the intersection in either direction, north, south.
Are we gonna put the sidewalk in front of municipal center?
The sidewalk is planned in front of the municipal center, based on what the county conceptually figured was where it would need to be if the road is wide, when the road gets wide. So,
Okay, are we gonna bring it around the curb or around the roundabout? And-
yeah, so there'll be a part of it that'll have to get redone right at Ross, but the rest of it should be, the correct north-south alignment. So if you notice, it's not, 5 feet off of Camp Phillips Road. It is, I think, like 35 feet or so off of the existing curb.
I think the curb, the sidewalk should go on Ross west,
East.
east,
Yep.
sorry. All the way where the bicycle path stop and then,
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll get that wrapped in when it comes time to design it. But yeah, the existing sidewalk is based on where, we kind of worked with the county on where they thought we would need it to be, so that we're not putting in a sidewalk now just to have it ripped out and put back in a few years from now.
okay.
I guess, Josh, maybe touch on where we're at with, some of the PFAS, items. And I guess, Apache Lane, I don't know if anybody hears from the residents, but, the fourth attempt at restoration wasn't, I guess, as successful as I was hoping. So we have a meeting with the, contractor, their, landscape contractor, and,
Who's that?
who's the landscape contractor? They're using somebody out of,
Want to get paid.
yeah, we're using somebody out of the UP. I say it's G and K or something like that.
He's not the same guy for the bridge.
No,
It's a problem with weather, or is it, I'm sorry, or is it just their work practice, or what?
it's, yeah, the weather, like, so Birch Street got seeded pretty much the exact same time Apache did. And there's grass on Birch Street. It's growing just fine. Some residents question if they actually put down grass seed. They said, the guys would be working here and all of a sudden they'd skip over here and then the guy with the mulch truck would come and so
I mean, I can see that gets a lot more sun.
yeah, and it could just get dried out.
You could probably sun all day long on that stretch versus running the other way. They're getting it not so much in the afternoon. I think it gets shaded more, but
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know, but they don't have anywhere near enough cover. Yeah,
yeah,
they needed a lot more, I think, overlay of, that straw to get it to grow there.
mhm.
Did they hydro mulch or just put straw on it, or?
So that's the funny part. They hydroed select spots, like very small areas, but then the big areas, they just put straw down. So I don't know why they didn't do both, maybe hydro seed it and then still put the straw on top of that to help, but. Yeah, so if anybody's getting contact by residents or is driven through there, that one's still not restored the way it should be, so. That's still an action to follow up and, I guess we'll touch on that later too with item, like 10, so. Otherwise, I'll try to keep this part quick, because we got other items on the agenda that overlap, so. Unless anybody has any other questions on the projects.
No. Talk about the lift station at Ryan later on, again, because it is on the agenda.
Correct, yep, yeah, those items are further on.
Any question from Michael? Okay. Also the Cedar Creek access, Cedar Creek Interceptor access road, that easement is still renegotiating or?
No, the letters are, I'm hoping to send them out tomorrow. I looked at them last week, wanted to get them out, wanted to run some stuff by Teresa and Michael, so I put it on here that they were sent out, but I lied, they're gonna go out tomorrow. I had them ready to go.
Is it the money issue or what's the problem?
No, the last round we sent them, then there was a change in ownership, and then we got the easements redrawn, or our easements to make sure that they matched up with the actual location of the interceptor sewer. So we want to revisit it, send out new documents that we had created. And yeah, see, I know we had a couple signatures already from previous round, but we figured we should send it back to everybody so they can understand where we're at with it. So they'll go out tomorrow and yeah, hopefully we have some word next meeting where the next step will go.
Okay. Because gentleman was gonna sell me about area of 50 by 30 feet. I asked him how much he wanted. He said 15,000. I said, okay, I'll call you back. That was the end of discussion, and it took 3 years, I didn't call him back.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Just the only other one I have real quick, are they still going back on the Eau Claire River Trail to final cleanup?
Yeah, that's
soil
still included.
and all the barriers and
Yeah.
stuff? Okay, perfect. That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah,
Like they had cleared out, but left that behind.
yeah, I guess they're still working on the Ryan Street lift station, so they have some dewatering wells that are still in place over off the trail. So they are waiting until they get is it the valves changed out?
Yeah.
Because by running those wells, it draws down the water inside the lift station so they can do their work without having to worry about pumping it from above. So it lowers the water table so they can work in a dry condition.
That's what they would do, okay.
Yeah. So then once that's done, then they'll pull the wells and get the rest of that all restored.
Gotcha.
All right.
Winter's coming.
Operation update?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Street operation update.
Winter's coming, so we're trying to get everything done we can. As you look on the list, everything that we've been doing, did a lot of asphalt repair. We've got some inlets we're fixing right now. Alderson Street, the 29 overhead, the state informed me the sidewalks are, so we ripped part of that out. We're gonna dump that tomorrow. Probably the big thing is we're starting East Nick Avenue
Yeah,
in conjunction with the Village of Croninwater. We were gonna start today, but with the rain, it put us off. They're gonna start with ditching on the south side of it. It's gonna buy you about a 2,000-foot long piece that we're gonna actually take and cut the road, put a sand lift on it and add gravel. We're gonna see.
but when did we get agreement on that? Did we get agreement at all, or we just doing it?
We're doing it
With Croninwater.
with Croninwater and Habs.
Because we were at big discussion, some meeting, and we need the agreement, and none of them, these are all good, cool, no? They're good?
It's pretty much as we had talked about, the handshake agreement, where I just work on it half and half, halvesies, just like we've done in the past.
We can't wait any longer with this because what's gonna happen come spring, if there's a fire in one of those structures back there and they can't get a fire truck back there, an ambulance, it's gonna get really ugly. I'm just being honest with Shane. I mean, it was so bad this spring. Josh Finke from Safer was there and he went back there and he's like, we'll never get in there. And so right now it's basically Brad Jacobson from the Village of Croninwater. He's been on their street crew forever. He's like the street crew foreman. We met and they're gonna have equipment, we're gonna have equipment, we're gonna keep track of all the costs, all the material, and then we're gonna divvy it up when we're done. But it's September. If we don't get at this now, we're not gonna get it.
You're not gonna get an argument now, but you're gonna get an argument when you bring a money issue and said, okay, you guys we gotta pay this much, or they gotta pay this much. If there's no agreement, I'm not sure. Because it was a big discussion over that. Even Mitch King was here, he was giving a lecture on it. It's not just this road, it's
So they
continuing and,
Yeah, they were convoluting the whole idea of extending Nick,
correct,
County J
Yeah.
with the responsibility to maintain
Yep.
the existing part of Nick that is currently open. So we're
Right.
only talking about the part that's currently open, or theoretically should be open. And that's the part we're working on, just like we do with Schofield, Rothschild, and some of those borderline streets, but
okay,
it would be better to have a written agreement, I agree. But we're at a point where we need to get.
We're running out of weather.
We need to, get something done, so.
On that note though, I mean, I live in the Village of Croninwater. I've lived there my whole life. I trust Brad, and I think, you know, we're gonna keep track of everything, and we will divvy it up when it's done. That's my job, is to make sure we track everything. We're gonna track hours on equipment and material and all that, and go from there. Chronowater's got just as much skin in the game on this as we do. Because, like I'm saying, if that house would catch fire or something would happen, the media is gonna crucify us and them, just from the liability standpoint. I mean, you can't have a public road that you can't get through with emergency vehicles. And the problem is, it's the historical part of it. I mean, they were lucky they got in and out of there this spring with cars, because it was so bad. But there was 5 foot of frost in the roads last year, and we might get it again. So I'm not arguing with Shane, I'm just trying to do the job that I feel is my job, is that we need to get this done somehow. And we have the manpower, we have the equipment, but we're running out of weather. So we're figuring a month to get this done, which is doable. But we've got a lot of other things in the hopper that we need to get taken care of too. So that's why we're going at it. And I
I
guess,
just don't want to sit down and argue over the money, that's all.
I don't think we will.
I would rather to see we take care of it now.
Yep.
And fight at the end of it to see what's going on. Let's say, okay, if it is 50-50, let's write that down, even if it's a piece of paper, we agree we're gonna pay 50-50. Then everybody is quiet about it, nobody argue.
Yep.
You don't do that, you say, well, we just agree on it. Somebody gotta get burned on that. I said my piece, I'm done. Continue.
Okay, well, I understand your concern. On that, when it comes to working with other municipalities, the city of Wausau has been very good to us, the DPW. We got back into starting to paint more crosswalks and that. We've tried to get done what we could this year. They borrowed us their Graco painter. You know, we worked back and forth with them. I guess I understand you're saying that you need to have something signed in writing when it comes to money. I know that. But when it comes to the other stuff, I'm used to working with other municipalities, and I trust them and they trust us. So I trust Brad and Chronowater, and I don't think that we're gonna hopefully end up in what you're saying, but let's go. So getting back to where we're at, yeah, we're gonna run out of weather because it's already September 12th. So we're gonna try and keep getting everything done that we can. We've got concrete work to get done. We've got some more asphalt to try and get finished. And October 10th, we're gonna start with a yard pickup, which will take 4 people, 2 back trucks and that. So we're doing everything we can to get everything done. As far as projects that I've had going this summer, Community Center Drive has got binder on it, but American Asphalt, we got to get them back to get surface on that. And then that project will be done other than striping. And that's going to be a contractor that's doing the striping on that. I've been in talks with them. So that's probably the big thing that we've got done. Then between the move, you know, which is gonna take something away from us as far as staff having to get things moved, and then we're gonna be getting into winter already, so.
Wasn't the Fox Street, that hole is so huge, that's at the Fox Street lift station?
Yeah, because it was
Go ahead.
it was a storm sewer, it was a block, round structure, built out of block, the curved block, catch basin block, they don't make them anymore.
Right,
So what we did is ripped it out, went and took one of the 4-foot culverts that we got out at Ryan Street, cut it down, set it in there. And that's why, because it had a 5-foot lid on it. We weren't gonna rebuild the whole thing because of the way the pipe were in it, so we put it back together that way.
okay.
Yeah. So it's, you know, but we've got some other inlets and stuff that have failed, that stuff pops up and you just take care of it as you go, you know, do what you gotta do, so. I'm not being disrespectful, Hushain, I know what you're saying with that, I understand. It's just, my concern is we are gonna run out of weather and it just makes it harder, so.
I've seen a lot of argument in this village over that stuff over the past 40 years, so
I understand.
I'll let go with that. Okay, any question? Anything else here?
No, unless you have questions for me.
Item 7, utility operation update.
Yeah, up at the top, we have some of our miscellaneous well, maintenance items for some leaks at some of our well sites. We spent quite a bit of time kind of getting a feel for some of the temporary treatment items that we're gonna have to be working on here in the very near future, I'll kind of touch on kind of a timeline here, in a minute. We added some backup power to our Summit Tower lifts, or our Summit Tower. Been having some issues where when we lose power there, everything goes down, so we've been trying to work through some things to give us some longer backup power, so if there is a fail, we can have time to respond to it once we are back in the morning. Some valve repairs over at the Aldi site. We went out and measured some of our hydrants that we're gonna be doing some retrofits, so we don't have to actually dig them all up. Some of our sewer stuff, there's a few maintenance items. We ended up pigging the force main to our new replaced Tanya Tricia lift station. It seemed to be a pretty good success. We're gonna be looking forward to doing more of our force mains here. Maybe not this year, but maybe into next year, looking to pig some of those force mains. Replaced transducer, cleaned some bowls, some other general maintenance items. Repaired some issues with our camera truck. We should actually have that up and running finally. We're still working on our sewer jetting. We should be coming to an end hopefully in the next couple weeks. SCADA stuff, we're getting close to hopefully having an RFP. I can't remember what she mentioned. I think there was just a couple items and we should have something to review so we could get our big SCADA project out for, get some numbers on it. Diggers, lots of diggers still coming in, lots of work orders still. Some of the miscellaneous activities, it's really filled with PFAS stuff. So where do we start? We got a couple of things we're trying to take care of at the treatment plant. That's where our temporary treatment skids will be placed. We talked with Water Surplus Friday. They initially had hoped to have it to us last week with hopes of kind of getting it up and running this week. There was some issues with the first round of painting on the skids or the tanks. So they had to go back through. Tentative date is the 19th, so a week from today, or the 20th, that our temporary treatment skids will be here. So we're kind of, there's a lot of things we're juggling because we got to get a wall or a hole cut in the wall. We need some electric moved. We need some ceiling stuff moved. So we don't have a definite date of when this is going to be here. So we got a couple of things we're trying to keep in mind that, you know, Dan and his crew's got a lot of stuff to get done. So we're going to need some hand, maybe getting the hole in the wall here. So by the time we meet next month, hopefully we either are waiting for results of our PFAS to make sure this is gonna be up and running, or it is already up and running. So I reached out, we have to get some PFAS sample bottles ordered, so we're ready. If it should show up next week, we can have some samples collected, and hopefully it's only a couple week turnaround time. I've heard it's getting pretty extended into the 3 weeks up to a month waiting for results. So hopefully that's not the case. We can have this up and going and get well 4 back up and running at, not its full capacity, but it's,
So what they're gonna do with the manganese and iron and the,
well, we don't have an issue with that on well 4. Well 3 is our one where we have the iron and manganese issues, and these skids will hopefully be able to be repurposed, down the road for any iron and manganese removal at 3. When we have the permanent treatment for removing then PFAS from 3 and 4, but I don't know how many, is that years, a couple years out maybe? It's where, yeah, it's a little bit out, so.
what you have here, well, number 1, already, you have chlorine leak repairs. Is this happening all the time because we had the chlorine leak repair at another well?
It happened. I mean, it's really either just some of the tubing or a fitting is off and the guys have to get in there and clean it up. So we just noted that, I mean, if it becomes to be an issue, then maybe it's time to check the pump is getting bad, or just trying to document some of this stuff. So if things are getting to be repetitive, we know it's time to maybe order a new pump instead of just repairing all these little leaks that happen, so. I don't think there was too much other, I guess I touched on kind of the Cedar Creek Interceptor project easement letters. Those will go out tomorrow. And then some of the other things, we have some meter pit projects, stuff that we're gonna be reviewing and kind of making some final decisions on. And I think Michael touched on some of the other.
Who's doing that project?
The mobile home parks?
Yeah.
Clark Dietz. The one, we're kind of in a standstill because we, have a future potential Fuller, street reconstruction, and we just want to make sure we put this meter pit in a spot that's not gonna have to be relocated 2-3 years from now when Fuller gets done. So we just want to make sure we.
Fuller is over here.
But
Well,
we
we
have
have-
a mobile
yeah.
home park over there too,
Yeah, we have-
off of
Which
Fuller.
one, the one off?
Weston.
Yeah, the one right at Fuller.
So
Yeah.
we want all three of the mobile home parks, Weston Manor, Stillwater and Colonial, will be relocating all those to above ground, but that one is actually sits in a below ground, box that is in somebody's driveway, so we want to relocate it, but it still may have to be on private property, I guess, if we don't have the right of way to reconstruct Fuller, so we just want to make sure we have everything lined up for that one.
Okay.
And I think, hydrant painting, I'm waiting to hear back from Ferguson when they'll be getting out there. We did get our manhole rehabs, those were done and completed last 2 weeks ago. And our sewer lining project, we had the bid opening, which we'll be talking about here shortly as well. And then, beyond that, we just have our customers added, some of the water pumping numbers, our wastewater lift station, and, with Teresa being gone, I didn't have a chance to get our Aquahawk usage for this month.
Question for Josh? All right, thank you. Policy discussion and recommendation, item 8, hydraulic press purchase.
Yeah, I guess as we're assessing equipment that should be moved to the new building or I guess disposed of. Fleet Foreman Schmidt brought to my attention the hydraulic press, which was essentially a homemade press that's back in the shop. Our safety consultant has noted that we probably shouldn't be using it because there's really no good rating or engineering safeguards on it.
Who's the safety?
We use Fair Graham, right?
Mhm.
Who?
Fair Graham. We
Where
do
they
our,
come from?
they're in the Appleton area. They do our annual safety training and inspection, stuff like that. But so I guess Brian got a couple quotes for I guess hydraulic presses that would meet our needs. We did sell some of our salvage equipment earlier this year, which brought in a little over $20,000 in revenue. So we'd be looking to utilize those proceeds to pay for a new hydraulic press.
So what are we gonna do with the existing one?
Scrap it.
Scrap it. I don't think it'd be wise. I don't think we can legally sell. Because we could.
I was just gonna say, no, you
Yeah.
can't.
Yes, go ahead, I'm sorry.
My question is, being that the revenue of sale of the items was not in the budget because you didn't budget for that sale, I would check with finance to find out how that could be done because we could be in trouble for exceeding our levy limits.
I asked Jessica and she didn't have any issues with it because it's a capital operating. Was her explanation to me.
Okay, do our sales go into the capital?
For capital equipment, yeah.
Okay, I mean, even though it's not,
So it's an expense restraint, not a revenue restraint.
yeah, but then you're spending it.
The spending those on the capital side, not on the.
So the levy limit issue comes on into the operating budget, not on the capital expenditure side.
And where are you
I think is
gonna
what
get
we-
the 4,796?
What's that?
Where are you gonna get the additional funds that you're
Yeah.
short?
You're having.
We have a surplus.
There's gonna be excess.
We had a revenue of 20,491
Okay, all right. I'm
This
sorry.
is 15.
and it's 15,000.
And I just had one question, and thank you for the
Yeah.
extra information that you sent me. My one question when I looked at this was, that I said I don't have the answer to yet is, if you don't have a rating on the tonnage the existing press you're using has,
Yeah.
how do you know the one you're buying is adequate?
Like I said, Brian was the one who did the research on that to make sure it had the ability to,
The press with.
to meet his, to
Okay,
meet the
so
needs of the
somebody's thought
town.
about, okay,
Yeah.
I just off the top of my head, I went,
Yeah,
if you don't know what you got, how do you know what you need? So,
For the one they purchasing, they should have a spec on that.
yeah,
oh, I know, but I'm saying the existing one they've been using was homemade and nobody knows what the tonnage
You're
is.
right, yeah.
So how do they know if the one they're buying is enough?
Yeah.
That was my, yeah,
They
so
don't know how much
someone has
power
thought
they
about
got.
that.
yeah, and he worked for a different, you know, a private, business previously to coming
Okay.
here and was familiar with, you know, the presses they had.
Okay, yeah, then I'm good.
Okay, what's your vision?
I'll move to recommend the village board approve the purchase of the hydraulic press from MSC for a purchase price of $15,694.29.
A second,
I'll second.
discussion? So you have seen the spec on this, the new one we're
Yeah.
gonna purchase.
Correct.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you. Birch Street construction change order number 1.
So I guess this change order covers, two items. One is, riprap, that was, and then also, clearing and grubbing. So, I guess for the riprap, you know, looking at the average DOT cost, about $80 a cubic yard. Switlick's submitted price was $45 a cubic yard, so we felt, you know, feel good about that, the price, you know. And then, clearing and grubbing seemed to come out right at what would be expected, about $22 a square yard. So I guess, we've got other items that are under budget. We'll have another change order at the next meeting, which will be I think a fairly significant deduct of close to probably about $100,000, because there was a quantity bust on some of the common excavation where a number got duplicated. So I guess we'll have, budget-wise, the project will be, I guess, less than what the original bid price was.
So what happened is the engineer had it on his drawing, but when he was making estimate as a unit price, he didn't transfer it to.
It wasn't on the bid tab, correct?
Comment,
It was on the drawing, but not on the bid tab.
right?
Yeah.
He dropped the ball. So,
My only thought on this one was I just, when we look at drawings and bid things, we would have it in our number, because if it's on the drawing, but
right, actually, there is a comment in the spec. With respect, if it is not showing one place that it's showing on the drawing, it still is part of the project. I believe it's something like that, if I remember. Michael, how's that? Mr. Donner?
Well, I think we talked about the concept that, you know, we're potentially looking at some kind of value added issue here. I guess I don't know how we're talking here about the difference in units. So I mean, I guess,
This
In
one's
the end.
different than that other one.
oh, okay, I'm sorry. So I'm on the wrong item.
Okay, I think the spec saying, if it is showing on the drawing, you should put the number in there, because you read the drawing, you don't just look at the bid tab and put your number in there.
There's not a price,
look at
But there's not a
drawing.
price for it.
Yeah, there's not a price on the drawing though. You have to have a price. I mean, it might say it's on the drawing, it's gotta get done.
Right.
But there's no price, just like last year when there was no cork and tap
Yeah.
on all those. And it's on the drawing, of course, but there was no bid price on it. So that was a change order on that one too.
Yeah.
Same thing on this is what it is.
I mean, if they were giving us a number that was astronomical, I'd be like, that's not, I mean, this seems like a very fair price, like, you know, so whether it was on the bid tab, initially, we likely would have been paying this price. So,
That's understandable, I don't have a problem with that. I really understand what's going on
I know.
there. But, okay, What's your wish?
I move,
Go ahead.
I move to recommend the village board approve the change order number 1 for the Birch Street Cross Point to Shore reconstruction project for amount of $22,175.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Item 10, Apache Lane Utility Project Engineering Contract Amendment.
Alright,
How
so,
many hours they had in there for $36,000? I'll be interested for that.
I'll have to get that number. I don't think they,
Did they give you a breakdown? Why they come up, how did they come up with 36,000?
so some of it was for work, met, and some of it is still for anticipated hours yet to be incurred. I think they're coming up to the end of their contracted hours and they're looking at, we still have record drawings to produce, we still have, project closeout and several other documents left. So it's an up to 36,000 based on estimated hours. I guess I don't have the estimated hours there. If that's something we want to add it, I can ask for that.
this is for field work though, right? Or,
Yeah, it's for the field work.
so record drawings shouldn't be,
Well, the record drawings, so they're using some of the hours from the original contract, which included time for as-built record drawings and project closeout. So, I guess, yeah, as we mentioned, we're on, iteration 4 or 5 of the restoration effort out there, so they're still doing punch lists after each one. They're still, checking on erosion control inspections.
What was the price of the landscaping supposed, or do you have just a thought of that?
Is that broken out?
I'd have to look, yeah, I mean, and so a part of this too is we've put the contractor on notice that we're looking to utilize liquidated damages because they're well past that.
when was the substantial completion?
Well, they met substantial based on the definition. We don't have restoration as part of substantial, but it's part of final payment.
Right,
So final payment, I believe, was the end of June or middle of July.
Was it, I think July.
So maybe middle of July was final payment. So I mean, they're a month plus past that. So I mean, the road was paved, everything else was up and working.
My only thought was this, when I was reading this, I said to myself, 36,000 seems like a lot to inspect that grass seeding and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
how much was the whole project?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
You know,
agree.
I was just struggling, I mean, if it's just for coming back and looking at the grass seeding, I'm like, holy cow, I'll take that job. Cause I'd have done it for free for you, cause that's my running path.
I guess my concern is if we're going to be charged extra engineering services, inspection fees or whatever, because a contractor isn't completing the job correctly, why are we having to pay it?
So that's where the liquidated damages comes in.
You
So
said you might, not you are.
we did put them on notice, I guess.
Okay.
Yes.
How much is liquidated damage per day?
It's $1,000 a day. So if they're
Yeah.
30 days over, offsetting, I guess, our cost. I guess that's the part is it has to be offsetting a real cost too.
I guess I don't know what everyone else, I struggled with how do you come up with 36,000 if it's just for the landscaping, erosion control?
Well, that's what I asked, why, where's the
Yeah, what
hours?
number of
I mean,
hours?
give us the hours, and then you can't just send me a bill, say $36,000 extra, pay me. That doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and I'd kind of like to know what the cost of that landscaping erosion control portion was. Because it would be awfully embarrassing to me if we approved a change order for 36,000 and the original cost was 25, you know?
Well, part of it was something with the drilling that it took longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so hours were used up sooner throughout the project, so over winter, the drilling operation, they started, what was that, in November through December. And they initially thought, the project schedule was gonna have drilling and street work happening, so they could have one person doing two tasks,
Yeah.
essentially. So they had one person covering, that month and a half of drilling. And then project got shut down for winter and then, same person was back out. So there was never, I guess, the advantage of one person inspecting two operations at once.
How many boring they did out there?
So there's two, one of them they had to redo because, what was it, the rod or whatever got stuck halfway through. So the drilling operation itself took a little longer just because I got about halfway through. I mean, if you want more information, I can.
Yeah, but then you state here that then things started moving quickly enough and additional time would not be need to be spent.
Yeah, they thought.
However, restoration efforts have struggled. So are you telling me that they were okay? And then because of restoration, now we're talking.
Yeah, they thought they were gonna be okay. They had a summer intern who covered, a good part of the project, during the summer as the pipe installation was going. The contractor did get 2 crews out there, so, I guess that was my comment is that, if you're gonna be running out of hours, you should have brought this to our attention sooner before we, you start sending me a bill and it's for hours that we haven't approved yet. So.
Because I mean, what this states really is, like you said, it's pretty much the restoration.
And again, that's where
cost.
the hours that they still had from their original drawing or the original contract for the as-built and some of those other post-construction, they ran out of. Those hours were eaten up during construction.
I don't think we have to pay because the rod got stuck in the hole. That's a mistake in the driller, that's their problem, and they should.
But again, that's where for the project, we hire the engineer to be on site to do the inspection. So when the contractor's schedule.
Yeah, but was he with the driller all the time when he was drilling those holes?
They were out there during the drilling operation.
But I guess I'd like a breakdown.
Sure.
I definitely would. Because I think if it's all related to the site and the erosion control, it seems like a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you're saying here that all of a sudden they caught up and then the next thing it's the restoration, well, if they weren't, I guess I'm confused.
I can see a final completions in August or something, but if it was in June and they're still struggling to get this finalized with restoration, I haven't seen it, I haven't been out there, so I don't know what it looks like.
It's not great.
Yeah. I
watched it
I'll
all the
take
way
your
through
word.
it, it was terrible. It was.
Yeah, it's,
No,
That's the only thing I have, if it's over 2 months on final, I mean, that's. And if it's not barring any weather, I mean, you can't control the weather, if you have washouts, I mean, it is what it is, you have to redo stuff, but.
I think you definitely, and you are pursuing the liquidated dam, I think you have to.
At this point, I think this far along, I think you have to.
I think the washout is the responsibility of the contractor.
That is, but I'm saying, I mean, I can see
it.
that happens, but I mean, after 2 months and you're still not getting something to grow, there's a problem with.
That's the problem with the seed, that's the problem, what,
Right.
yep.
And they're not gonna get it if they don't get it real quick either.
No,
They're gonna be back next spring, and we're
Exactly.
gonna have another change order,
yeah,
right?
yep.
Yeah, this isn't gonna get,
anytime there is a delay in the project, there is a cost in there. One way or other, somebody gotta pay that money.
Yeah.
So,
I just think, cause we're halfway, we have 4 weeks left to grow grass, maybe?
About that, yeah. Usually once September ends, you're kind of done.
so what's your wishes with this 36,000?
I think we need more information, and I almost think you need to, I would suggest this, are they gonna get it done? Because I'm questioning right now if they'll even be able to do it, and then you're gonna go back to next spring, right? And then you're gonna have to bring them back again, right?
No, I think they should do their seeding this season after the frost get in the ground. So in the spring, we have the grass grow. I don't want seeding next spring.
Well, I agree with you, Shank. I'm just saying, are they gonna schedule and get it done in the next? I mean,
They should be, yeah.
they should be doing it today. or tomorrow or early next week, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's Dan saying we're running out of weather.
So if he's gonna receive it, you gotta do it this year.
Yep,
And we don't wanna germinate it this year, we wanna just, when it's frozen.
sure.
Okay, what's your wishes? You make a motion on this or just request the information? I think,
I think we request, I agree with you. I think we need detail before we approve. I don't feel comfortable.
I mean, I wanna know how much of this restoration inspections is costing. I mean, where is this 36,000? I mean, that's.
okay, I think we should table this. Mr. Donner, is that correct procedure? Table this item?
Or defer.
Yeah, just defer till
I'll
next.
make a motion that we defer this till next month upon receipt of additional information.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I have it, thank you. Item 11. The Schofield Avenue intersection, Mesker and Ryan, engineering analysis project award.
So we sent out an RFP on August 12th. And one firm, responded with a, proposal by the, September 7th timeframe, which was MSA. Their proposals, combined were 23,750. They had each intersection quoted at 11,875. We had 40,000 in the budget for it, so it's well under budget. And MSA has done other intersection studies for us in the past. No issue with them. They've done a good job, so I recommend approval and moving forward with those.
All right. Question? Okay, what's your wishes?
I'll move to recommend the village board approve awarding the Schofield Avenue intersection studies for Mesker Street and Ryan Street to MSA for an amount of $23,750.
Is there a second?
Second.
Would you like to have a schedule for it? When they're gonna start, when they're gonna finish?
Yep, that's in their proposal. So the traffic studies will be done probably in later this month, early October, still during the school year.
I thought DOT does traffic study around here, doesn't it?
Well, they do traffic counts, but they don't do turning movements and all the other
Oh, you're right.
parts of it,
Yeah,
so
you're right.
they'll get those in, and in the RFP, I think I had a schedule in there.
So they're gonna use those traffic count, right?
They'll do their own traffic
Oh,
counts
they
too,
do traffic,
Yep.
okay. Okay.
yes. So,
And they're gonna look at the intersection of Mesker and Schofield to see if they can line that intersection a little bit better so you can see.
yeah, they'll be looking at, any deficiencies or recommendations for improving, the function of it, so.
Okay, I use them all the time. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you.
Teresa, I abstained on that.
Yeah.
So motion was by Barb on that?
No,
No.
motion.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Barb second.
Okay.
Item 12, sanitary sewer lining bed result for Camp Phillips Road and Shorey Avenue.
So, I guess we put the lining of what we refer to as the Cedar Creek Interceptor Sewer, out to bid. There's 3 bidders on the project. So this would be the section from about Meadow Rock Drive on Camp Phillips, which is essentially Jaeger Auto Salvage, to Shorey Avenue, and then the stretch of Shorey Avenue to Bushka Street right before Sand Hill Meadows Park. Those were areas identified in our 2017 televising report as needing to be repaired. We had 3 bidders on the project, with the low bidder being S.J. Lewis Trenchless. Yes, we had the project estimated about 800,000. So it came in higher than expected, but I think,
32%.
yeah. I think costs in general over the last few years have gone up, and I guess we didn't, maybe adjust that, and also I guess the estimate internally was done based on smaller size pipe. The bypass pumping on this one is a significant cost, which probably didn't account for, with the estimate, just because it is a significant amount of flow that they have to keep going through there. So I guess it's understandable that they have more cost in pumping than what, we normally would have expected.
But they couldn't make a better cost estimate because they do this project, Michael's doing
Yeah,
it.
but I guess the cost estimate didn't come from Michael's, it came from me,
Oh, you.
in our
got it.
CIP, yep.
Okay. Yeah, because Michael's doing it and my tech is Michael
Yeah.
practically. They can call him up and say, okay, what's the price?
Yeah, and Michael's, even was so the low bidder was less than the Michael's Corporation.
Right?
Yep.
Right. But it's still for estimate, you
Yeah,
could have done that.
yeah, so I use the estimates in our CIP just because that's generally what we're projecting. By the time we hire an engineer and everything, our CIP's been adopted and, the engineer's estimate is.
Is there a drawing for this project?
There is a drawing, do you want me to forward it to you, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Okay, question. Really, the cost of the lining come close sometime to cost of replacement. Sometimes they have to put an extra manhole here and there to make sure they can get to it,
Yeah.
have access and.
Are there gonna have to, are there like offset joints where or this is all just for all lining, or is there gonna have to be some spot repairs on that, or is that?
No, it covers the whole thing. There's no excavation anticipated based on the televising video.
Right, yeah, okay.
So they just use existing manhole to get to
Yeah.
it, then no problem, huh?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, as we noticed, if you go on Camp Phillips, there's a water valve that has water coming out of it because we sealed up a manhole and because they had significant infiltration, and now the groundwater is just peeking up through the water valve now because it's finding the path of least resistance. So I guess that's part of that section. There is high groundwater, so we're just trying to seal that up so we don't have that infiltration going through there.
Okay. Other question? I'll accept the motion for this project.
I'll make the motion to recommend the village board approve awarding the Camp Phillips and Shore Avenue sewer line project to S.J. Lewis Trenchless LLC for the amount of $1,174,280.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Where are these people come from?
They're in Minnesota.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Street and Trotzer lift station, am I saying it right? The name of this-
Trotzer, yeah,
Okay,
close enough.
lift station change order number 2.
Yeah, so, things I mentioned in here, change order number 1 hasn't been, brought yet, because we're still waiting for, the deduct price for, a manhole change or a cover change out. So this is change order number 2, in case somebody's trying to figure out what change order number 1 was. So I guess this is for, some pipe changes within the valve vault. The design was based on 6-inch piping, and, during construction, it was found that the existing was 8-inch. So this is kind of the time and materials, cost for, I guess, changing out that piping or, reworking it so it fit the 8-inch pipe instead of the 6-inch pipe. And then there's also, there was a request by WPS to have additional bollards outside the gas meter. That's $982 of the change order was for the additional bollards by the gas meter.
Do you lose negotiating ability by approving this change order before the first one?
No, it's just sequentially, change order number 1 become,
Okay.
you
I
know,
just wanted-
we have a price for it as
So
of,
when you were negotiating, I thought my thought was, do you want to do them all at once or?
no, we have the deduct price now as of today. I just didn't have it on Friday.
Gotcha.
Any other question?
I move to recommend the village board approve change order number 2 for the Ryan Street and Trotzer Lane lift station, which increases the total contract amount by $7,920. Correct that one? Quickly.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you. Item 14, sanitary sewer service for property east of 2112 Shorty Avenue.
Yeah, so just about a year ago, we were approached by Chad Gums. He was interested in purchasing a property along Shorey Avenue, just directly east of that 2112 Shorey Avenue.
Could you bring those picture up, please?
So after lots of discussions and questions from him on what he could do, there's currently water fronting the property. There's sewer approximately 200-ish feet to the west of the property that he's interested in. So we had gone back and forth about looking, if it'd be beneficial for us as the village to extend it beyond his property to capture a couple additional properties. There may be benefit to one property with that shed on it, but if there's anything to develop, in the future on the south side, we'd probably take it elsewhere. So after many emails and questions from Mr. Gums on what his options could be, the first option was, running a sanitary line from the existing manhole off of Cedar Park Street within the right of way. We've talked to a few engineering firms and got some quotes to what it would cost. There would be some roadway disturbance and restoration costs. That was kind of pushing Mr. Gums away. So he was asking for other options he could potentially do to get service to the property. So I guess at the final point, it was maybe we just need to sit down and see what kind of recommendations we could have for what he could do. I would assume we'd want to have him connect to our system. So that's why I kind of laid out here some of our estimates we put together for some costs for running a sewer extension to the property within the right of way, maybe having an option to use a possible easement acquisition to get it outside of the right of way to eliminate some of the restoration costs of the roadway. Look at private septic systems potentially. I don't know if we'd want to go that route. I just threw it on there. He had gotten a quote for that himself, or we've looked at maybe some low pressure sewers just for the personal property to connect to our sewer.
And finally tonight, an Amazon delivery driver in New York is being called a hero after helping a family escape their burning home.
So I guess we're
I
looking
just
for
thought the
maybe
fire's
some-
getting bigger and bigger.
That's when Kevin Rivera rushed in on Saturday. He told the 6 or 7 people inside to get out. At first, they didn't understand because of the language barrier, but he urged them to leave through the.
There.
for the 5 o'clock news.
That easement, is that gentleman willing to give him an easement, or we have?
We haven't, then he hasn't purchased the property. So I guess we're kind of looking for what options can we tell him, this is what we have to go forward with, because we kind of get an answer to him and then he asks, well, what about this? Well, what about this? So, and I guess I'm talking to Michael about some other situations we've used, to maybe have a low pressure sewer or, work through an easement potentially, the 2112 property there's an agreement in place that if there is a main that fronts them, they have to connect. So there's quite a few moving parts. It's in Rothschild, there's water fronting it, and he wants a sewer extension. So I guess I wanted to just relay to him what options that we need to move forward with and eliminate what we're not gonna move forward with.
Question?
We'll be extending beyond that property, potentially.
I guess we could maybe extend it to that property there with the shed. Just a little bit further to the east of that though is kind of the crown, where then it wouldn't really make sense to extend it beyond that. if there is potential development on the south side, kind of at the intersection of Alderson and Shorey, it would probably have to be some sort of, it would probably be able to gravity, I think we saw it could gravity.
That all goes south.
All goes south over to Alderson, would be picked up at some point on Alderson. So initially, we had kind of thought, well, you know, if he has some costs, we have some costs, we can extend it and pick up a few others, but if it's a one potential extra customer, I guess I'm not sure what.
That's what I was wondering, if this was a
Yeah.
one and done or if this was.
So and I'm trying to get some answers so we could kind
A lot
of
of
get it off our
money
plate.
spent. One, you'll never, I mean, you'll never get it back.
Yeah,
Right, I mean,
Well, what, there's part of this that he's gonna be responsible for. I mean,
Correct,
we did something with him on the corner of Shorey and Alderson before.
yes.
That was a low pressure sewer.
No, it was a regular
Wasn't it?
gravity.
Okay.
And I think we did that because that benefited.
So what does the village of Rothschild require in terms of sewer and water service?
Well, it's within our sewer service boundary.
Yeah,
Yeah, but what do they say? I mean,
Tim's kind of said it's on us.
yeah.
what's the ordinance say?
And everybody's, you know, like Tim was looking for, do you have any plans drafted up? It's like, we haven't even got him to purchase the property, so I just wanna tell him what options we have so we can either say, you're gonna have to hire somebody to design it, and then you'll be on the hook for potential costs that way.
If you take the easement and go to that property 2112, how much tree you gonna cut on that property?
The 2112 wouldn't have, that's all grass basically right up
Is that
in the front of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the property he's interested is all of the wooded lot there.
right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to go too far in there.
No. And it's just tight because we already have the water main in there. So it would definitely have some road restoration and, you know, I talked to Tim a little bit over at Rothschild. He'd want everything replaced in kind, but I assume he wouldn't want just kind of a 1 foot strip. So I don't know if he'd want to take it to the center line or something it's because it's a fairly recently redone. I don't know if they slag sealed or chip sealed something over there. So I'm assuming he's not going to be too happy if we have to rip up a large stretch of this. So, and it'd be costly on Mr. Gunn's end as well, so.
Okay, so this is just for discussion purpose.
Well, and if you have any recommendations of what we should move forward with or what we should not move forward with.
I think that's his prerogative, you gotta pay the bill. He has to pay the bill, that's all it is to it.
Okay.
Gentlemen. I'm sorry, pardon?
I would say, I was hoping as long as we're consistent with everyone else,
Right,
that's, you know, I don't wanna treat him any differently, better or worse.
correct, that's what I said, you gotta pay the bill, that's it.
So, yeah, and I think that's what it needs to be.
Offer him those options, but if we have to go through the other property in there, who's gonna get the easement? We have to get the easement or he has to get the easement?
That'd be on him to get the easement.
So,
And we'd ask him to do some of the legwork, I guess.
well, I think these are all gotta be explained, and we understand that was expected from him and what are we gonna do? Are we gonna hire the contractor to do it?
Probably would, we could at least require him to get one we approve of.
If he goes on the road, definitely that's our project to
It's
do
similar
it.
to a subdivision development situation, I suppose.
Yeah, he's gonna have quite a bit, because then you'd have the inspection costs.
Yeah. Well, no matter what, you're gonna have that, any main has to be inspected, so.
It may dissuade him from buying the property, but I guess that's
Yeah.
anything we can do, something like that.
Okay, anything else? All right. Item 15, draft 2023 street maintenance plan.
Yeah, so I guess attached in the packet, I had just the kind of preliminary plan for what we're looking at for 2023. Between our chip seal streets, crack sealing I don't have on the map, but we generally look at crack sealing anything that's to be chip sealed, fog sealed, GS bead. We look at streets that were recently, overlaid or paved. And then, as the asphalt overlays, we had the Windermere Oaks neighborhood in the CIP. And then, as far as neighborhoods, Edgewood Estates, North Apache, those are in the same location, so that, kind of go together. And then, Janice Street west of Mesker, just trying to find, another street that's in need and, doesn't necessarily have a drainage component to it that we would have to worry about. And additional concrete repairs, out here on Schofield Ave. So I guess the plan is based on the 525,000 amount that we used for the 2022 budget. So not necessarily looking to increase that. It covers, about 7.18 miles. This past year we had about 7 miles of asphalt streets. So I guess just curious if there's any feedback or, I guess ideally we'd like to get more miles every year, but, I guess trying to do our best. The GSB is a cheaper treatment, so, the goal is the more new pavement we get, the more often frequent we can use the, less expensive treatments to keep our pavements in good condition, so we should be seeing an uptick in miles over the years. The overlays are the more expensive treatment, but, it corrects the deficiencies that nothing else really can as far as restoring a crown of a road or, taking care of just heavily potholed areas, stuff like that.
So that 525,000 is enough, sufficient?
I mean, ideally, I'd say no. I think, several years ago, we looked at, we probably need about, for a truly sustainable program, we're probably talking about the $1.5 million range. So, but that's also where, if we have a CIP where we are replacing streets on a regular basis, then, our maintenance dollars go further because we're not spending it on the more expensive, overlays or repaving projects that we did in years past. There's years where we spent $200,000-300,000 repaving a road, which now we have in the CIP, so we don't have to worry about that $300,000 coming out of our maintenance fund. We're able to use it for, our crack sealing, our rejuvenator seals, those items, so. At 118 miles of road, we probably should be getting closer to about 12 miles of asphalt streets a year. So, we're at 7, so at least doubling it would probably be ideal to get towards, but, I understand there's restrictions too as far as what we have, so.
Do we need to look at increasing the budget next going forward?
Ideally, yes, long-term, we'd look at increasing the budget. I guess, so that's part of me maybe being not pushing the envelope going into 2023, knowing that there's some other budget challenges. I guess, worst case scenario, I want to at least be able to stay at the same funding level instead of decreasing it.
I think we should just do the best we can, improve our road and keep them in good shape and.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes if we take a couple of dollars extra, we should do that extra and make sure our road is good shape.
Yeah.
Because you don't do it, you're gonna pay it one way or other later on.
I agree.
This is a conversation that happens every year.
Mhm.
So it all ends up becoming a question of how it all impacts the tax roll. So we have other capital projects that we've done or taken on, so we have to fit it all within that, as it was projected, so. I mean, we pay our druthers, sure, we spend it more, we do better, we try to do a better job on our street maintenance. I think everybody fights this battle, doesn't matter what community you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I stole some of these slides from past presentations and, you ideally are treating this street that's still in good shape versus waiting for it to blow up and, having to take care of that, so. Keith's talked about the good roads good instead of, letting them just fall apart and then rebuild them, so. I guess that's what we're working towards now as we get new pavement. We are doing the more frequent, less expensive, maintenance treatments to keep them in that fashion and taking care of the bad roads then and getting them back in that cycle, so.
Question?
can only do what we can do. I think we're better off than we were for a few years there.
Yeah, you know, when I first started here, we were at 350,000 a year, so we have added almost 200,000. Granted, cost of treatments has gone up, but, I think, yeah, you know, especially the last few years, we've gotten some real bad streets taken care of, so, we're able to, you know, keep those in good shape and keep moving forward, so.
Oh, the picture you just showed us, that's a bad place.
Yeah, that was, you know, so that was a frost boil that happened in the spring, and all of a sudden, the maintenance plan became, we have to now pay to repave that street, right?
But the paving wouldn't do it, you gotta fix your base.
Yeah, and we ended up doing that. We ended up cutting that out and redoing it, so all of a sudden when you thought you had, you know, $400,000 that year, now you only had maybe $350, because you just had to redo that section of roadway.
Other question? You don't need action on this item, correct?
No, I guess just as we are getting into the 2023 budget, I guess just wanted to keep you guys, I guess, in the know of what we were looking at for street maintenance next year.
All right. Future item, next meeting dates, Monday, October 10, 2022 at 4:30 PM. Monday, November 14, 2022 at 4:30 PM. Topic for future meeting, do you have anything at this time? Do you have anything?
I guess just that, probably that Apache Lane, amendment.
Okay. Remark from administrator, Mr.
So
Donner?
I think last time we were talking about schedule on moving to the new facility. We're gonna still have meetings here at this facility next month. The move starts essentially the 22nd of this month with moving furniture from this location. Furniture will be delivered to the new one as well. That's gonna take about a 2.5 week period. So, we're also not gonna necessarily have our technology for the new boardroom. So we're gonna have to move the stuff that's from here over there temporarily until we get the new stuff, because there's supply issues with that as well. Anyway, I know we talked last time about possibly meeting over there in October, but for next month, we're gonna be having our meetings here yet. I guess we'll learn more about the project status and things tomorrow. There's a lot of things that are still being done on the, site, you know, outside, and they're cleaning up the inside, and it's getting closer, but, you know, there's still a lot to be done.
Yes.
I didn't notice, did they pave?
No.
No, there's still some
Okay.
curb that has to be, put in, and some that has to be removed and replaced. That's not done. So, till that's replaced, paving was supposed to start next week, but it's gonna be dependent on schedules now. Weather, and we find out more tomorrow. We have a meeting with the contractor again.
Question? Thank you, Mr. Donner. Remark from staff?
Nothing?
I'm good.
Okay. Remark from committee member? No? I don't have any announcement. Accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.